So I want to start with a question, and I'll warn you, this is a bit of a trick question, okay? What do these four people have in common? Michael Jordan, Jane Goodall, Franklin D. Roosevelt, and Oprah Winfrey. I told you it'd be tough. Well, one of the things that these folks have in common is that they are all leaders in their respective fields. Another thing that they have in common is that they all faced significant trials, tribulations, challenges, and obstacles early in their career. For example, Michael Jordan was famously cut from his varsity high school basketball team. Jane Goodall was told that her methods were unscientific early in her career. F.D. Roosevelt, of course, contracted polio, was wheelchair-bound, and was told he could not lead. And Oprah Winfrey was fired from her very first job at age 22 as a TV co-anchor. Now, in each of these cases, these leaders could have easily decided to give up right then and there. But we know they didn't. They used these moments to persevere and to motivate themselves. That's what I want to talk about today. Warren Bennis, the 22nd president of the University of Cincinnati, and known widely as the father of leadership because he wrote over 30 books on the topic, called these crucible moments. And he told us that leaders are made in the crucible. So what is a crucible? Well, I happen to bring one with me today. A crucible is very simply a vessel. This one happens to be made out of graphite, but we know that they have been found for centuries. 5000 BC, we see crucibles, and they're used to melt down precious metals. In this case, you can put metals, gold in here. You put it under intense heat, really high temperatures, but this vessel can withstand that. You stir it around, and you pour it into some kind of a mold. And the goal then is transformation, to transform this metal into a new shape, into a new form. So crucibles, our crucible moments, are meant to transform us, and they can do that. Now, at this point in my talk, you might be saying, I don't really know what this talk has to do with me. I don't really get the whole crucible thing, and I don't see myself as a leader. You see, I don't have director, manager, leader in my title. I don't have any direct reports. I'm not a leader. Well, I have to disagree with you on that one. See, at the Warren Bennis Leadership Institute, we believe that everybody is a leader. Not all the time, of course, but when you have the skills, the knowledge, the expertise, the experience, and the passion, you should step in and you should lead. Leading is a choice. We can choose to lead in our classrooms when we raise our hands. We can choose to lead in our neighborhoods and our communities. We can choose to lead in the workplace, even if we don't have that title. And at the very least, we should choose to lead ourselves. So leading is a choice, and I bet that you lead more than you think you do. You see, every time that you set goals for yourself or for somebody else, you're leading. Every time that you negotiate roles and responsibilities to make sure that the work gets done and everybody's coordinated, you're leading. And every time you motivate yourself and those around you to get that goal accomplished, you are leading. So you see, you're probably doing a lot of leading without even maybe recognizing it. So you're leaders. Now back to our crucible moments. I want to share one of mine with you. I've had many crucible moments. Each of you do as well. This is just one of mine. About 10 years ago, I went up for promotion to full professor, and I was denied that promotion. That was painful. The feedback that I got was, you can go up again, but what you need to do is stop doing some of these other things that you're doing. Focus just on publishing in top-tier journals. And I'll have to say, I wasn't sure that that was the path I wanted to go on. But it took me a while to figure that out. Because on the one hand, if I took this path, it was the traditional path for academics. It's kind of what I'd been told my whole life was expected of me, to pursue this academic path. I was afraid if I didn't go down that path, but yet this other path was really attractive to me. You see, I had started getting involved in leadership development, working a lot with students and clients on their own leadership development and transformation, and I was enjoying that. So I had a tough decision to make, and I was frustrated that I had to make that decision, but I did. Ultimately, of course, I did choose to lean into leadership development. I co-founded the Warren Bennis Leadership Institute, became the director, and as a result, I've worked with about 1,000 students now, helping them understand their crucible moments and their journey to leadership. Now, I'd like to share with you a little bit about reflection and the tool for reflection, and how we can use our crucible moments to become better leaders and, more importantly, better humans. But I want to share some research. You see, we know from psychology that we have two sides to our brain. We have the left side, which is focused on analytical and logical. It's about tasks. Most of our formal education focuses on that left side. But our right side is the social, emotional side of our brain. That's responsible for empathy, for patterns, for our virtues, and the kind of person we want to be, our character. Both sides are important, and neuroscientists tell us that they occupy about the same amount of cerebral cortex. And yet, we really focus on the left side. In formal education, we focus on those technical skills to the detriment of the social and emotional side of our brain. Researcher Richard Boyatzis at Case Western University has shown through MRIs that these two sides of our brain compete. So the problem is that if we spend so much time on that logical, analytical side, it results in the weakening of our social, emotional side of our brain. And I think that's happening to all of us, maybe without us even realizing it. But you know what? I think we're going to need that right side of our brain even more with the advent of AI. See, AI is going to be able to do some of that logical, technical, analytical thinking for us, but it's never going to be able to think about us. It's not going to be able to tell us who we are, who we want to be, what's important to us. That's the hard work that we need to do ourselves. So we need to be equipping ourselves. We need to be developing that right side of our brain more than we are now. So how do we do that? We do that through reflection. Reflection is taking time to think carefully and deeply about past events to generate meaning and make sense of the past, the present, and the future. Now, most of us don't engage in much reflection, partly because we are a society that is so focused on doing. We're doers. We love checking off our to-do list, don't we? And we really value productivity over purpose. So our values aren't there. But the other thing is, maybe we don't know how to reflect. It's a great word, but how do we actually do it? So I'm here to share with you a process for reflection that I hope you will put in your toolkit for personal development. And I call it the 4 R's. The 4 R's of reflection. You'll notice that they come together in a puzzle piece. It starts with retreat, but there's 4 pieces. The process of reflection is about pulling those pieces apart, the theme of our TED Talks today, pulling those pieces apart and examining them very carefully, but then putting them back together again so that we see them in new ways. So retreat starts with retreat. We need to step outside of our normal day-to-day routine. Again, we don't do this very often. For some people, it might be going into a quiet room with a candle and having some quiet time. That's great. For me, it's never been that. For me, it's out on a hiking trail where I've got the birds singing above me and the leaves crunching underneath my feet. That's my thinking time. Doesn't matter where you go or how you retreat. What matters is that you do it. Find your place to do some deep thinking. The second piece in the puzzle is to review. We need to review our crucible moments. We need to review what has happened, our pain points, our trials, our tribulations, our obstacles, but not just the facts, also the feelings. We need to review what happened, but what we felt before, during, and after. And that's how we can learn. For me, in my crucible moment, I remember, as I reflected, feeling scared to make that decision. You see, I thought if I made the wrong decision, my career might crumble. I thought if I didn't go down this path that everybody thought I should, that I might be making a big mistake. I might lose some of my identity as a scholar. My colleagues might not respect me as much. But on the other hand, if I didn't go down this path, then I'm not sure I'd really be as happy. So those feelings matter, and thinking through them, reviewing them, is part of that reflection process. And that leads us to the fourth piece in the puzzle, which is to realize what those feelings mean. This is where we truly make sense. It's at this point in reflection that we identify the key takeaways. We can look for patterns, not just in this crucible moment, but in other crucible moments. So what I did is I came to realize that in my crucible moment, I made the choice to follow my heart. And you know what? My career didn't crumble. My students still came to class, most of them anyway. And most of those fears, in fact, none of those fears really came true. So what did this tell me? Well, I realized that in future decisions, I could follow my heart and things weren't going to implode. The last piece of the puzzle is to rethink. What does this mean for your future decisions? So as we put the pieces back together again, after we've examined them, pulled them apart, closely looked at what they mean, we bring them together again and say, what does this mean for us going forward? So in my situation, I realized, hey, Donna, you better lean in more with your heart. If not now, when? You're at that stage in your career where you need to have that confidence that following your heart is going to be okay. Whatever your rethinking is, at that stage in the reflection, it's important to understand, what does all this mean? My small crucibles, my big crucibles, as I look across the patterns, how do I put them all together and think about what that means? It might mean for you, hey, I'm not the person that I want to be. I need to do some things differently. It might be, I'm not living my life aligned with my values. So I either need to change my values or I need to change my life. But this rethinking process and this reflection process can help us move in new directions. It transforms us. Back to my crucible here. You are the vessel. You are the crucible. You can withstand a lot of heat and a lot of pressure. Life has a way of turning up the heat sometimes, doesn't it? And it demands us to change and transform, sometimes even when we don't want to. But here's my ask of you. Be intentional. Reflect. Use that in your toolkit, because if you don't, something that you don't want might happen. You see, these crucible moments could transform us in ways that we don't want. The heat, the pressure might make us more cynical, less trusting, less motivated, and unhappy. But if we are intentional and we use this process of reflection over and over again so that it becomes part of our natural habit and our growth process, then we can not only withstand this heat, but we can create ourselves over and over again into new shapes aligned with our values, our character, and who we want to be as humans. Thank you.